when it comes to clear communication, like that also means like listening to yourself and seeing how people respond to your communication.
Merry Christmas and welcome back to the Pineapple Improv Show. I'm your host, Mike Brown, and today we are talking cultivating relationships through improv. Today we have two very special guests. It is Christmas Day, so we are having two of our favorite guests on the show today. Coming all the way from Omaha, Nebraska, we have the Gravel Road Boys. Guys, welcome. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Ho, ho, ho. We made it, baby. The Woo Show boys are here with Mike Brown and the Pineapple Improv Show on our PR tour.
That's right. He's Todd Dillon and I'm Dylan Rohde. Woo!
Woo!
Todd Dillon and Dylan Rohde. It's almost like you guys had pre-planned that. Todd Dillon Rohde. Just
You
come.
know what? One thing I always say about our show is that it always seems better than it should be with just like it's more than 2 + 2 = 4. You know, I don't know how it does that, but
Well, now there's a third component. So
let's get it.
3 + 2 = 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh, guys, tell me a little bit about yourselves. Where do you work? What is it that you do? Todd, let's start with yourself.
All right. So currently I'm a picture framer. And I sell a lot of it. Sell a lot of picture framing. I came my sales background is actually I was a stockbroker at TD Ameritrade. It was an inbound call center, and just talked to a bunch of people all day long and try to sell them the idea that their money is secure with TD Ameritrade.
Awesome. And Dylan, for yourself?
I am a business owner. I run a comedy theater and I do improv, stand up, and all of that fun stuff. And also I love hip hop, so I want to throw that in there as well.
I mean, who doesn't love a little hip hop? Am I right? Guys, you come from two very different backgrounds in terms of your work experience. So today, like I said, we're talking about cultivating relationships through improv. Tell me about your work-life relationships with those that you work with, and what are some interesting dynamics that you find yourselves in?
You want to go first, Dylan?
You can go first.
All right. So it's a little weirder because I wasn't expecting it to be about cultivating relationships. I thought it was just going to be about sales. So I was going to talk about how, like, when you're trying to sell, if you're on the phone with somebody, you hear a dog in the background. What kind of dog is that? Oh, you know what? That's my favorite dog. My granddad had a dog just like that. Then that's how you build that relationship. You have a rapport with them because you have the favorite dog. I don't know how long of a process you can run with that because most of the TD Ameritrade calls were short. But as far as like
And
building,
well, let
oh,
me
sorry.
let me reframe it like this. When you worked at TD Ameritrade, there were other people that you worked with alongside in person. So what was it like building those relationships with your coworkers? And let's take improv out of it for the moment. Tell me about like what the work atmosphere was like.
Oh, so at TD Ameritrade, it's an inbound call center. You're in kind of like an open air room. You're at desks, but it's not straight up cubicles. So you can still talk to the people around you as well as on the phone. It's a hard place to get really above a surface level of a friendship with people because constantly while you're in the midst of having a conversation with the next person to you, a call could come in at any time, and then you just have to drop whatever that conversation was. But also during the day, when you're talking to these people on the phone, it can get intimate at times, not like sexy style, but like, you talk about real shit. And that's another thing that builds those relationships is they hear you talking to somebody on the phone and that person's having a problem that they can relate to, and they say, "Oh, I had that thing happen," and you get to know them because you're there with them all the time, and so it's weird.
Did you ever find yourself having to rely on your coworkers or maybe a supervisor or someone in a supervisory role?
Say the question again.
Did you ever have to find yourself relying on your coworkers a little bit in build having a relationship of trust?
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely. Yeah, you definitely. It's important in the workplace to make sure that the people around you are trustworthy. That you can, I don't know.
what ha what happens if you find out that you don't have a solid relationship with someone? You said that sometimes you can find out that someone isn't trustworthy. What are the downfalls of not having a solid relationship with someone?
It just, I mean, your work is usually for most of us 8 hours a day. If you can't, if you have to go into that situation with somebody dishonest and you have to run around with your guardrails up all day long, that's bad for your mental health. Uh, you just always,
That's
yeah, you want to have people around you that you like and that you, and trust goes a long way towards liking people. If you can't trust somebody, it's tough to like them,
Oh man, dime a dozen.
right?
Dylan, let's switch over to you. Tell us about working in a theater and what are your relationships with your coworkers like?
Yeah, as the boss in the situation, I have to I use the two elements that I think are most important in improv, which are trust and listening. We already talked about trust, but when it comes to listening, it's really important to make sure that you're listening to your employees, making sure that, I mean, really anyone you're working with, not just like what they're telling you, but you got to know, like, do they sound like they're enjoying what they're doing? Does it sound like they're being put to a good use and they're feeling like they're worth something at this business? Um, do they feel like they're being heard? Do they feel like they are able to speak up?
Now, you two, obviously, like I said before, come from two very different work backgrounds. How did you meet and how did you develop your own relationship with each other?
So I was doing stand up at the time, and Dylan had come back and he had started doing improv classes. Uh, and I heard about him from around the way, and just started going to. I started taking improv classes, and it was at the time when the theater was in its infancy. So man, you could just play all the time. Like if you showed up on a good Thursday, you might get on stage 5 times that night. There might be 1 to 3 people in the crowd back then, but I mean, just to have the like the shackles were off, man. So
Yeah.
much of getting better at a thing involves just doing it again and again. And so yeah,
So
I was.
what was it about Dylan's personality that you were attracted to? Because
Oh man,
obviously you guys work together a lot now. So like how did you start developing those bonds with each other?
Dylan's just the guy, man. Like he is the linchpin. Probably, I always say like Omaha comedy would not be where it is without Dylan. He's always very big on involving the community and making sure that, like, if we're talking about relationships here. Dylan's always having get-togethers, keeping the community together. Uh,
So how did he reach
friends.
out to you, or how
So
did you reach out to him to get that ball rolling?
yeah, so we were pretty good friends. I mean, pretty early on, and hung out and stuff. But it was actually the beginning of the pandemic where We didn't have any material. We were doing stuff online, and Todd was the only one who basically hung out with me to do a show where we were just doing whatever people wanted to do. And so then it came to like, let's try it again, and he kept saying yeah. And we created the What You Want show during the beginning of the pandemic, and we kept at it. And now we just got nominated for Best Comedy Ensemble in Omaha.
Hang on. What? You just got nominated for Best Comedy Ensemble in Omaha. Who is this board?
So it's called Omaha Entertainment and Arts Awards. So anything from like theater, music, fashion, any sort of the arts worlds here in Omaha, that award goes to. So they have Best Comedian and Best Comedy Ensemble.
That is absolutely amazing. So, Dylan, from your perspective, what was it about Todd that I mean, other than he's just a body who happens to be free, what was it that attracted you to him? Like, how did you really start building trust with each other so that you could go off and do some, nominated shows?
Right. So some of Todd's best qualities there, like real big positive energy. He's always coming in and wanting hugs from people. Anyone who will give him a hug, he'll take that hug. He's always complimenting people and lifting other people up, which is really, really great to see. And then also just like a real fun personality. So when I'm more of like the strategizer who's like, what if we try this and maybe do this? And then you just put Todd out there and he's like got all this personality.
Yeah,
So,
I always say like Dylan's the one who wants to analyze while we're doing it. I want to do the next thing. So between those, it comes together real nice.
I love that symbiotic relationship there. Uh, Todd, for you, Dylan just said that, if I can put some words in Dylan's mouth, you are like the grizzly bear that comes out and like, yeah, let's do it. What's the next thing? And big energy, right? So have you always been like that? Or was there a point in time that you wanted to bring that out in yourself a little bit more?
No, man, I've always been like this. I was, at the sleepover in grade school. I was the last kid to go to sleep, first kid to wake up. I just like being in the midst of shit. I like
Yeah.
to get a little energy. Inertia is an amazing thing. So if we get the ball rolling, who knows where it's going to go?
Can you tell me about any examples throughout your life where that big energy has maybe hurt some relationships that you've had in the past?
Oh, uh, yeah, I guess I could do that. Uh,
Send into therapy.
he's like, oh, you're the positive guy, huh? What about when that doesn't work?
You
Um,
figured me out.
it's a lot to deal with a big personality. We all know them. And a lot of times in my excitement, uh, I might go a little too fast. I might not think fully through what I'm going to say. And I've hurt people's feelings on accident. Um, yeah,
How,
so
how does that make you feel? Like, what's your reaction to that?
I don't really like it. I usually try to fix it, but uh, you can't make everybody like you. So yeah, I just don't think about the ones that don't really. Because I'll go out of my way to stay friends with somebody. I really don't like holding a grudge or even just like the negativity of disliking someone.
Mm.
So if and I'm just a human, so like I'm not out to intently hurt your feelings. So if I accidentally did and you can't get over it, I understand. But you know, maybe you should be a person that forgives more too.
Dylan, for yourself, in running a comedy theater in Omaha, first of all, that can't be easy. Second of all, having worked in the arts for the past 15 to 18 years myself, uh, energies and tempers flare. It's not all funny, funny, haha all the time. And there are some real strong personalities that we have to deal with. How do you handle those situations?
Well, I think one thing that's been really helpful with improv is pattern recognition and recognizing when something happens multiple times, and knowing that you have to make a change in order to expect a different outcome. So if something is happening multiple times, you have to change something to get a different result. Um, you can experiment with some things. You can try to analyze that as best you can. Um, Clear communication is also really helpful, and something that um, it when it comes to clear communication, like that also means like listening to yourself and seeing how people respond to your communication.
Yeah.
So if you think that you're being clear with something and then you realize like, oh, that I tried to maybe set boundaries with this person and they thought I was joking. Okay, I have to be more clear and let them know that like that was serious.
When you do find a little misunderstanding like that, how do you broach the subject?
I will say I am not a big fan of causing or like being confrontational.
Yeah.
Um, I am the one who types tends to make jokes out of situations that are serious, and laugh things off. So I've been working on allowing myself to be serious at times when needed. Um, I think I think as a comedian, that is something that's hard for us to do sometimes, but it's pretty essential to know when you have to kind of turn it off.
Guys, I want to pivot a little bit, and I was hoping that you might be game to play a little improv game with me. It's called Mind Meld. Now, here's how it works. You are both going to think telepathically, send each other a random word, and then we'll do a three count. Three, two, one, and I want you to say the same word at the same time. Are you guys game?
Yep.
Definitely. Let's
Excellent.
go.
Fantastic. Ready? Say the same word at the same time. Ready? Three, two, one.
Omaha.
McDonald's.
So we have McDonald's in Omaha. Fantastic. So obviously you did not say the same word at the same time. So now we have Omaha and McDonald's. Todd, you and I are now going to try and think of a halfway point between those two words, McDonald's and Omaha. When you think you know what it is, put your hand up. And I think I know what it is. All right. So do
I'll
you?
count down to three.
Yes, please.
All right. Three, two, one.
Burger.
Cows.
Cows and
Ooh, cows and burger. Excellent. So now it's between
burger,
Dylan and myself. And Todd, can you give us the three countdown?
Three, two, one.
beef.
Beef. Hey,
Yeah.
high five. Nicely done. And that is mind meld. Usually when you play this in larger groups, it'll go around and around and around and around. And hopefully you get yourself a mind meld. Now, Dylan, you and I mind melded together over the word beef. We are able to kind of take those two random words with Omaha and McDonald's and kind of whittle them down to their core essences. Have you guys played this game outside of this particular podcast?
Oh yeah, we do it often.
What is it about this game of mind meld that helps one develop stronger relationships with others?
I like it because it helps you what is it kind of not reevaluate or like triangulate a better response. You can be like, oh, okay, they're going for this route, or it seems like we keep mentioning something around here. Um, or also sometimes just trying to think of what things have in common, because I think that's really helpful.
So a
Uh,
little anticipation there.
sure.
Sure.
I
Todd, how
think
about
I think
yourself? What?
I was gonna say, I think that in today in the world when you're so distracted, especially because as a improviser, I feel like you're a little bit more easily distracted because you have a couple tracks going at the same time. Uh, I think that just taking the second that it takes to look in somebody's eyes and block all that out and all right, we got to get this. We're a team now. It's just you and me, and we only have to do one thing right. And I think that's just like, it gets me pumped to go out on the stage and make some funny with them.
It kind of forces you to stay focused in that moment, right?
Right,
And focus on the other person and make a human connection where one maybe hadn't been before.
Yeah,
right. And it can pull people away. Another thing is it is itself a distraction, and it because it's taking your focus from what is hopefully something that is taking your mind off something that sucks.
I appreciate that. Dylan, you were going to say?
yeah. If I could also say, this is also a really fun road trip game because it's nice and simple. I recommend trying it on the road sometime.
Roadie trip?
Yeah. That's it.
See what I did there? Gents, we are running low on time, so I want to wish you both a super incredible Merry Christmas to you both. And before we go, are there any last words of wisdom or do you have any advice for anyone watching on how improv really helps you strengthen those relationships?
I'll say that the best thing I could offer is to remember improv is always a conversation, and in any conversation, there's it's a two-way road, and make sure that you're not just saying things, but you're taking something in, you're reading something, you're hearing, you're listening, and then responding to that and going off of where things are in that moment, rather than just where you want it to be or what you wish it was.
And Todd, for yourself?
Uh, Dylan always asks, "What's the game?" or "What's funny about this?" And I feel like improv is a great way to get into that mind frame and take that with you because everything's better when it's funny.
This is true. Everything is better when it's funny. I could not agree more. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today. Really want to thank you for your time and your expertise and your experience going along with that as well. To everyone else watching, thank you so much for being with us today on this beautiful Christmas day. Uh,
And check out
don't
hashtag woo show WUW.
hashtag Woo Show, WUW show.
Yeah.
Of
And
course,
if you're in
well,
Omaha, come to our Woo Year's Eve special.
Woo Year's Eve special. Oh,
Third in a row, and I married somebody at the first one.
like during the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, they wanted to get married. We give them what they want.
That's awesome. Congrats.
Yeah.
All the links for all the shows and all the hashtags you can find right down in the comments section below. Folks, thank you so much for joining us today. Don't forget the Pineapple Improv show is every Wednesday at noon Eastern Standard Time. And guess what? We'll see you next week on January 1st. Have a great Christmas break.